Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the principle of graphic systems. One of the most important building blocks of this graphic system is a display device. In a display device, let's study about the CRT, the cathode ray tube architecture. In a cathode ray tube, a beam of electron is emitted by an electron gun which passes through focus and deflection systems. This beam gets directed towards the phosphor-coated screen and spots of light are emitted at collision positions. This light fades away very quickly, so to maintain the image, various methods are used like refresh CRT, where beams are redirected very quickly to redraw the picture. So let's study about the architecture of cathode ray tube. The heat supplied to the cathode is by a heating filament. The free negatively charged electrons are accelerated towards phosphor coating on the screen. The spots of light are created when beam strikes the phosphor coating and the kinetic energy is then absorbed by the phosphor. The light fades away as the excited phosphor electron drops back to the stable ground state. So this is how the cathode ray tube works. Now we'll study about CRT focusing and why is it necessary. CRT focusing is necessary to force the electron beam to converge into a small spot on collision, else it will spread out like cone-shaped beam due to repelling action of electrons. This can be achieved by electrostatic or magnetic lens. There are various types of phosphor used in a cathode ray tube, which can be distinguished by their persistence. Persistence is how long the phosphor continues to emit light after beam is removed. Phosphor with low persistence is used for animations, while for high persistence it is the complex static pictures. So how is light generated on the screen? Light is generated by the transfer of energy of electron beam to the phosphor. When the electron beam collides with the phosphor coating, the electrons are stopped and their kinetic energy is absorbed by the phosphor. This will cause these electrons to gain a higher quantum energy level, and after some time, these electrons will come back to their stable ground state. The extra energy is released in the form of small quantum of light energy. This light is generated on screen is the effect of electron emissions, and their fading away is due to the return of excited phosphor electrons to their ground state. Fluorescence is known as a glow when cathode ray in the tube collides with the phosphor coating and excites the electrons of the phosphor, causing them to emit light. Phosphorescence is defined as a light by the return of somewhat stable excited electrons to their unstable state when the beam is removed. Most of the light emitted is phosphorescent since the excitation of the beam lasts only fraction of microseconds. A flicker is defined as a visible fading which occurs between the refresh intervals of CRT. The number of times per second the image is redrawn is determined by the refresh rate. The resolution can be defined as the number of points that can be displayed without an overlap on CRT. The number of scan lines per second that a CRT is able to display is the horizontal scan rate, and it is the product of refresh rate and the number of scan lines. The bandwidth can be defined as the speed with which the electron beam will be turned on and off as it moves horizontally across the screen. The alternative of a refresh CRT is a direct view storage tube. The picture is stored behind the phosphor coating as a charge distribution in this case. The horizontal retrace is defined as the return to the left of the screen when each scan line is refreshed. In the vertical retrace, at the end of each frame, the electron beam returns to the top left corner of the screen, and then it begins scanning in the next frame. In interlacing, each frame is displayed in two passes, wherein first pass, the electron beam scans across every line from top to bottom, and then in second pass, it scans the remaining lines. So, the entire picture will be generated in half the time taken to scan each line at once. In vector displays, one line is drawn at a time to draw a picture to be drawn. So there are various advantages and disadvantages of a CRT. The CRT will run at the highest pixel resolutions, will be less expensive than other display technologies, will produce fast response times with highest contrast levels, but at the same time it is very large, heavy and bulky, and it will produce lots of heat, electric, magnetic and electromagnetic fields. These fields are proved to be not harmful, but still people are unconvinced. They also produce images with soft edges and it is not as bright as the LCDs. The images are also subject to the distortion and will also produce screen resolution problems. The cathode ray tube displays color images by using two types of methods. One is beam penetration method and the other is shadow mask method. In case of beam penetration method, only 4 colors will be available, that is red, green, orange and yellow. In shadow mask method, 3 phosphor color dots are there at each pixel position. They emit red, green and blue lights respectively. A delta-delta CRT is the most common shadow mask CRT. So this is a delta-delta shadow mask cathode ray tube, and you can see there are 3 electron guns of RGB and they are aligned with the triangular color dot patterns on the screen. They are directed to the each triangle by a shadow mask. The plasma panel displays are also known as gas discharge displays. They are constructed by filling the region between the two plates by the gas neon. They are thinner than CRT but brighter than LCDs. There are series of vertical conducting ribbons at one glass panel and horizontal ribbons at another glass panels. The firing voltages at a pair of horizontal and vertical conductors will cause the gas to break down and emit into glowing electrons and ions. You can see the plasma panel display and its architecture in this slide. There are horizontal and vertical conducting ribbons present in the glass panels which cause the gas between them to break down, and so it will give us glowing electrons when there is a firing voltage. The light-emitting diode are an emissive device, where there are matrix of diodes that are arranged to form pixel positions in a display. The picture definitions of these pixel positions will be stored in a refresh buffer, and from there the information is fetched and converted to voltage levels and then applied to the diodes of display to produce the light patterns on the screen. The another form of LED is organic light emitting diode, in which a layer of organic substance is used to emit light when electric current is passed through it. There are various differences between the organic light emitting diode and the normal LED. While the picture clarity is good, there is a high contrast, faster response time, and does not need a backlight in LED. The LED has a very bad picture quality as comparison to OLED. It will provide very low contrast, slow response time, and will need a backlight. OLED is very expensive, but LED is very cheap. You can see the total difference between the picture display and resolution of an organic LED and a normal LED. The curved display screens, they are widely used for a wide-angle view, and like in case of theaters, when we watch TV at home, there are good and bad locations, and the best location being to sit at the central axis of the TV with the central point at the eye level. LCD is a liquid crystal display, which is a type of non-emissive device, and it forms a picture by passing polarized light through a liquid crystal, which can be aligned to either block or transmit the light. These liquid crystals are made up of long crystalline molecules. These LCDs are very low cost, low weight, small size, and low power consumption devices. Now there is a term matrix addressing, which creates a dark spot when a negative voltage minus V is applied to a horizontal wire grid and a positive voltage is applied to vertical wire grid. The difference between these voltages can cause the crystals to line up in a vertically polarized manner, and so the light won't pass through them. This will cause the absorption of light and a dark spot on the screen will be created. Stereo imaging can be described as the ability of a human vision to feel the depth of the scenes being viewed. This happens when the brain fuses two images seen by the eyes to form a single image. Apparently, our brain acquires two images. It shows right image to the right eye and left image to the left eye. But the brain will fuse these images to form a 3D perception. The applications include 3D computer graphics, 3D visualization, simulators and training systems, CAD, computer games, and digital media. A virtual reality device is a new form of technology that can replicate an environment and simulate a user's physical presence into that artificial environment. A person who is wearing a virtual reality device can look around, move, and interact in that environment. The sensory experiences of sight, touch, and hearing can also be created into it. In raster scan systems, the image which has to be displayed is saved in the format of zeros and ones in the refresh buffer memory. Then, a video controller will scan each and every line of that memory. A frame buffer memory is used to store the coordinates of all screen points used to determine the coordinates of the screen. The refresh buffer stores picture definition of the screen points, and these values are retrieved from the buffer and used to paint the screen. This is how the refresh operation will work in a raster scan system. This is a raster scan system architecture, and you can see it consists of a refresh buffer memory, a display controller, a video controller, and CPU, I/O devices, cathode ray tube respectively. The display processor in a raster scan system is also known as a graphics controller. It is used to free the CPU from all graphic operations and the chores. A separate display processor memory is also provided for its operation. It is also used to digitize a picture definition into intensity values so as to store it in frame buffer, and this is known as scan conversion. It is also used to create line styles, displaying color areas, and various other graphic uses. A graphic processing unit is an electronic circuit which is specially designed for manipulating the graphics. It is specially used in multimedia, games, and medical imaging. It consists of hundreds of cores operating on a common memory. There is a GPU pipelining which consists of the following steps. You can easily distinguish between the CPU and GPU architecture. While the GPU cannot replace the CPU, CPU can perform the work of GPU but at a slower speed. The graphic software is a collection of programs which are used for image processing and rendering of the models. There are two types of graphic software: general programming packages and special purpose application packages. In case of a general graphic programming package, an extensive set of graphic functions are involved with high-level programming language, but the application graphic packages are designed for the non-programmers so that they can use without worrying about the working of programming languages. Graphic workstations are specifically designed for graphic manipulations such as image processing, paint and draw type applications, which require high resolution and computation power. They usually have two monitors. One is used to show all features of an object, while the second displays its details. So we know about graphic input devices. Usually they are keyboard, mouse, joystick, graphics tablet, and data glove. Data glove is constructed by the sensors which are used to detect the hand and finger motions, and it can be used to grab the objects virtually. Keyboard, mouse, joystick, and graphics tablet are the most common input devices. But data glove is a new type. You can see in the right hand side corner of the screen there is a data glove. There are various types of scanners. The flatbed scanner is a flat glass plate in bed which serves as both scanning area as well as for laying down the objects to be scanned. Usually they are used for scanning the reflective art. The other type of scanner is a handheld scanner. It is a portable, low-price scanner which will provide less accuracy than the other types of scanners. Document will be scanned by dragging the scanner over it manually. They provide very unsteady scans because of it. It is usually used for fast scans. The drum scanner is for high-end printing by the professionals which need greater resolution and detailed scan pictures. A sheet-fed scanner, as you can see in the picture, allows only paper to be scanned rather than the books or other thick objects. Touch panels allow objects on display or the screen positions to be selected by a touch of finger. There are three types of touch panels. Optic touch panel, which uses a line of infrared LEDs along a vertical edge and along a horizontal edge of the frame. Electric touch panels are constructed with two transparent plates separated by a small distance. The acoustical touch panels are constructed by high-frequency sound waves generated in the vertical and horizontal directions across the glass plate. There are two types of input devices as well, a light pen and a voice recognizer. Light pen is a computer input device in the form of a light-sensitive wand. It allows the user to point to objects or draw on the screen in a similar way as a touch screen, but with greater accuracy. A voice recognizer has the ability to decode the human voice and perform commands or write without having to use a keyboard or any other device. Hard copy devices are used for obtaining hard copy outputs. Usually, the printers are dot matrix, laser, inkjet, electrostatic, or thermal printers. The 3D printing is the process of making three-dimensional objects using a digital file. The object will be created by laying down many layers horizontally until the object is created. The principles of a 3D printing can be the cost of complex manufacturing will be same as simple manufacturing. Can be number of shapes that can be created and there is no need of assembly for that. The zero lead time, unlimited design space, no need for skilled experts, and infinite shades of materials are the other principles of 3D printing. There are various types of 3D printers, and these are the following 7 types. In a general graphics package, if the coordinate values for a picture are specified in other coordinate representation instead of a Cartesian coordinate representation, it needs to be converted until it is used. Whereas in special purpose packages, any coordinate representation can be allowed until it is appropriate for the application itself. Usually objects in a scene are constructed in local coordinates and placed into world coordinates later on. These world coordinates are then transferred to output devices where the subsequent coordinates are known as device coordinates, which are used for the displaying of the pictures. So there are various types of graphing functions. One of them is a control function, which is used to clear the display screen or initialize the parameters. The input-output functions are used to control and process the data flow from the devices like mouse and joysticks. There are modeling functions which are used for the modeling coordinates of the objects. Object rendering is specifically used for creation and modification of object structures. There are output primitives, which are the basic building blocks of pictures and include character strings and geometric objects like points and polygons. Attributes are the properties of these output primitives, and they describe how a particular primitive is to be displayed, like its intensity or specifications. Viewing transformations are specifically used so as to view the portion of the output display area. So this is a sample graphics program with the output displayed in the right hand side. So let's see how we got the result the first line, the initialize a window please, is initializing a window on the screen. The next two lines clears the window to black, that is the GL clear color and the GL clear. The GL color 3F command will make the drawing object color to be white. The GL ortho command will specify the coordinate system for the final image. The GL begin and end will define the object to be drawn. The vertices are defined by the GL vertex 3F commands. Here the Z plane is set to be 0. The GL flush ensures the drawing commands are actually executed and not just stored in the buffer. The last update the event and check for events routine will manage the contents on the window. So this is how we get a black screen with a white object. So these are the references, and I hope the information will be useful to you. Thank you.